The board of out in South Carolina tried to get a teacher who had apparently been talking very prominently about the United States and everything like that, was embracing freedom and stomping on the American flag. What I don't understand here is why they decide to try to get rid of this teacher in their job because they're stomping on this thing. You can take the flag. First of all, one, it's just a piece of cloth with a bunch of colors on it. Okay, it holds no magical powers. It's not like if you step on it or if it hits the ground or you wear it as a hat, it's nothing gonna happen. It's just a symbol. He was trying to basically show the kids that this is just a symbol, nothing more. You can believe in a symbol, you can believe in anything you want, but it doesn't make it have powers of any kind. This poor guy, where he works, has no unions and he has no tenure. So all they have to do is come up with a charge like this and put him up in front of a board, and they can fire him over this. I don't understand why they are going after this guy for this. I mean, it's such a silly thing. Todd, your thoughts?
One thing I will say about this is that we have elevated the flag almost to the point of religion. Now, don't get me wrong. I do not like to see the flag to be abused, but I think he was making a good point, which is the world is still going to rotate on its axis. The Constitution of the United States is still going to be intact.
Right.
The trains and buses are pretty much going to run on time. This really doesn't affect anything. Right. And I would have to say that's a great point. On the other hand, you have to realize that people are going to have this almost quasi-religious feeling about the flag. You have to know that people have this, and you have to kind of adjust appropriately. I think he could have drawn a picture of it, either and made a PowerPoint or something to demonstrate this, or perhaps even a picture of someone doing it would have been just as effective. There's not really a reason why he had to put himself into harm's way. He could have done it in a way that instead of putting himself in danger, he was making the point, and maybe someone at the most would have said, look, we understand what you're trying to say, but we think the way you're doing it is inappropriate. The way he did it just, I agree with him. Mm-hmm. I agree that he's been fired for the wrong reason, but you have to realize that is going to happen, and he has an uphill battle.
Yes. Yeah, I was reading some of the comments in there, and they said if he does get fired, I think they're going to have a legal case on their hands because, as I said before, that they can take a flag or any cloth and make it look like a flag and do anything with it. It reminds me, there's an old TV show, Barney Miller. Some guy, one of the police officers brought in somebody because they had a pair of pants that was made to look like the American flag, and the officer wouldn't let the prisoner sit down because you're going to be sitting on the American flag. It's the same kind of thing. I mean, he thinks he's desecrating cloth. That's I can understand the sentiment behind it. I can absolutely understand the sentiment. Because you're in this country, you want to show your respect to it. But you said it right there that they're putting it up to the height of religion, and that we need to have the cutoff point right there. Medusa, your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to have to follow the letter of the law on this. And the law has been quite clear. You can do whatever you want to the American flag at any given time. It is just a symbol. Mm-hmm. Perhaps he chose the wrong way of introducing young, innocent minds to the concept of free speech. But I'm going to tell you, as a former lawyer, I don't think there's any way better to do it than to stomp on it in the class. That gets the immutable point across them immediately. Mm-hmm. Immediately. I can't think of a better way to do it. And yes, they're going to have one furious lawsuit on their hands. That reminds me of the Scopes monkey trial. And it just draws a lot of correlations in my mind.
Yes.
And I'm on the side of the teacher in this regard.
I am too.
Yeah, I'm totally on his side. He's got the law on his side. I don't think he's got anything to worry about.
There's an interesting quote here that says, "I was in the this person by the name of Bounds said this is his quote.
Here it comes.
This is what he said. Now, it's the quote, and he says, "I was in the military 20 years. I will defend your right to burn an American flag in the public square to my death. But as a teacher, you cannot bring your personal biases into the classroom."
No, it's not his personal bias, though. It's the law he's bringing into class.
Right.
Is how I would counter to this gentleman who served so many long years for our country and for which I respect him.
Right.
I respect what that man does for our country more than I respect a piece of cloth with funny colors on it.
Absolutely.
That's what I would have said to him.
Yes.
That would have been my remark.
And the thing is, the first part of his comment was correct. He says you defend your right to burn it or whatever to his death. You should defend it,
right.
His rights all the time, not just where in public or wherever. The rights are there all the time. Just because you enter a certain room doesn't mean unless you're being held by the government, of course. Doesn't mean your rights suddenly stop. You still have those same rights. You may actually have more rules when you enter certain buildings, like a public building or a schoolyard or a school. There's extra rules that get tacked on that you don't normally have when you're like out walking around in public, but that's not taking away your rights. That's the difference there. Do you have anything else you want to add on that, Medusa?
No, sir. I follow the law.
All right, very good. Fonnie, your thoughts?
Well, I wonder if he would be fired if he had just burned a pillowcase. That's my first point.
That's a good question.
Because, I don't think that it was responsible to be standing in a classroom and burning something only for the safety hazards involved.
Well, no, he wasn't burning it. He was just burning. He wasn't burning. He was just stomping on it.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, wow. Moving directly into my second point then. Mm-hmm. By him being fired, absolutely proves the point he was really making.
Yes.
Think about this. You're free as long as you follow the rules and do what we deem appropriate behavior.
Yeah.
Do you see where he's going with that?
Yes,
there is no freedom. He's being fired for this.
Yeah.
There is no freedom in America. That was his point. And they made the point. They proved his point by firing him.
Yes. It's actually, he hasn't quite been fired yet, but they've got him over a barrel, basically.
The fact that he's even being threatened to be fired, the point's already been made.
Yes, absolutely. And I agree.
But I think Todd's right. I think patriotism is no different than religion.
Yes.
It's a fanatic behavior, and it doesn't matter what cult it is, and patriotism is just another cult.
Yes.
If I could interject for just a second, I would say that would be more of nationalism. Patriotism is.
Pardon me. You're right.
Patriotism is wanting to do the best for your country. Nationalism, what we have here in the United States, is basically saying that the United States is the greatest country in the world because it's the greatest country in the world.
Because it deems itself so. Yeah.
And Talking Primate in the chat room said, it basically also said jingoism is dangerous. And it basically, you're right. It's the same thing.
Yeah, anything with an ism on it, you're looking for trouble.
Yes. Absolutely.